Did you know most of Russia's ports froze shut for months, crippling trade? Or that vast swathes of the country are basically uninhabitable wastelands? That's where Russia's geography sucks. In this video, we will explore these geographical challenges and more, revealing how Russia's landmass might be a blessing and a curse simultaneously. Stay tuned and discover why, sometimes, size really doesn't matter. Russia, located in Eastern Europe and Northern Asia, is the largest country in the world by land area. It shares borders with 14 countries and spans 11 time zones. From the bone-chilling Arctic tundra in the north to the sun-baked steppes in the south, its vast size might seem powerful, but it presents numerous challenges. Russia faces a strategic challenge due to its western border in relation to other European states. Unlike neighboring countries with natural barriers like hills or mountains, Russia's western border is characterized by vast, flat expanses such as the Eurasian steppe and the Great European Plain. The western border of Russia is not easily defendable due to the absence of natural obstacles. St. Petersburg and Moscow, two of Russia's most populous cities, are located near this precarious edge. For example, possible invasion routes are just 500 kilometers away from Moscow, so the strategic consequences are clear. It has been known since the 1200s that this border arrangement is easy for attacks by the military. Invading forces have used this geographical weakness for hundreds of years. Estonia is only 150 kilometers away from some of Russia's most important towns, like St. Petersburg. It shows how hard it is to build a strong defense. In terms of geopolitics, Russia's western border is an open route that can be used for national security planning. Historically, this huge area has been easy to invade because there aren't many natural barriers. It has shaped the country's defense policies and historical stories. Russia's geographical misfortunes have been more of an ancient curse, haunting the nation since the 9th century. The Kievan Rus Federation, formed by several East Slavic tribes and centered around Kyiv, Ukraine, played a significant role in shaping Russia's identity. Nonetheless, new geographic difficulties arose in the 1200s. Those flat plains around Kyiv, easy marching ground for armies. The Mongol Empire waltzed in and conquered the place, prompting a Russian relocation to the north. And the Grand Principality of Moscow, a new power hub. Yes, you guessed it. More geography problems. Without mountains, deserts, or decent rivers, Moscow wasn't exactly easy to defend. With this geographical dilemma, Russia made a strategy. The best defense is a strong offense. They acknowledged their vulnerable spots and decided to flip the script. Ivan the Terrible, Grand Prince of Moscow and later Tsar of Russia, wasn't messing around with his strategy. He took the whole offense, is the best defense thing, to a whole new level. Back in the day, after sorting out his support at home, Ivan went on a conquest spree. He snagged territory from the Arctic Circle to the Ural Mountains, down to the Caspian and Black Seas. He even set up shop in Chechnya, creating a military base that put a serious dent in plans by big players like the Mongols, Ottomans, and Persians. Fast forward to 1721, and Peter the Great officially kicks off the Russian Empire. The worry about an unprotected West persisted, so Peter and later Catherine the Great kept the expansion party going strong. They even moved the capital to St. Petersburg for better security and sea access. Under Catherine, the Russian Empire stretched its arms further west, munching up territories like Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. It wasn't just a random land feast. This move helped create a massive protective ring. From the Arctic down to the Baltics, Ukraine, the Carpathian Mountains, and the Black Sea, across the Caucasus and Caspian, all east to the Urals. So while Ivan and crew had their eyes on expansion, little did they know they were building a geopolitical goalie net for the future. Fast forward to today, Russia is still dealing with the problem of a huge physical weakness along its western border. Russia has been working to strengthen its links with countries west of its border because it knows these ties are weak. Among these new allies, Belarus is a key one that helps protect Russia from possible NATO dangers. Russia's tough attitude against Ukraine, especially when Ukraine seemed to be siding with Western countries and NATO, makes the strategic reasoning behind this approach clear. This worry comes from the fact that Ukraine might join NATO, which would put another possible threat close to Russia. So, Russia mostly has problems with its geography on land, but it also needs help with its access to water. Russia has a long shoreline of 37,000 kilometers, but its ports aren't very good. During the winter, eastern ports like Vladivostok and Magadan have to deal with frozen beaches that make them harder to get to. Even on the western side, the big port of St. Petersburg always has problems with freezing weather. Beyond the severe winter, the problem of ocean access for Russian ports is a basic limitation of Russia's nautical capabilities. For example, Novorossiysk, a port on the Black Sea, has never experienced ice. Nevertheless, ships must pass via the Bosphorus Strait, an important waterway governed by NATO member Turkey, to reach the open ocean. There is also a bottleneck in the Baltic Sea, home to numerous important Russian ports. Similar to the difficulties Turkey faces in the Black Sea, Russian ships cannot reach the ocean unless they pass through straits controlled by Denmark. The major Russian port of Vladivostok faces the same challenge of accessing the Pacific Ocean, even though it is located on the country's eastern border. The Sea of Japan is controlled by Japan, a major ally of the United States, and ships leaving ports like Vladivostok must travel through it. We can see a pattern in this geographical setting. Nations, either members of NATO or strong allies of NATO, manage control points that Russia's ocean access must pass through. It is a major problem for Russia, especially if the Russian leadership is thinking about taking action against NATO countries, which is a hypothetical situation. In such a scenario, NATO could impose blockades at these key choke points, drastically limiting Russia's ability to trade internationally. Even though Russia still has access to the Arctic Ocean and the ports there, including ice-free Murmansk, all year round, there are still obstacles. Ships can technically reach the ocean from Murmansk. However, there are obstacles in the way of the most practical routes out of the harbor. These routes include crossing the English Channel with France, the North Atlantic Ocean with Iceland, or the Bering Strait between Russia and Alaska. Now, onto Russia's internal geography. Sure, it's a colossal country spanning continents, but there's a catch when it comes to farming. The tundra near the Arctic Circle is a frozen no-man's land, and large swaths are covered in permafrost, making the land unsuitable for crops. Only about 7% is arable, and the growing season lasts 5 to 6 months. Yet Russia's not down for the count. The secret weapon is enormous amounts of oil and natural gas. Russia is a top 3 crude oil producer globally, relying heavily on these resources for its budget. But there's a twist. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, its main oil customer was slapped with sanctions. But here is the twist. Russia pivoted eastward, redirecting oil exports to Asia, and it worked. Russia not only weathered the storm, but also increased its energy revenue. So you can see how geography plays a role in a country's economy. Interested for more? Watch our video about Japan and why its geography is terrible as well.